It's been raining here a lot at Goldifarms, but today on the winter solstice, we had a little break from the rain, and so I let the chickens out who were feeling very cooped up and decided to invade the food forest rather than stay in their area. So I rounded them up and decided that a beautiful way to celebrate the season would be by planting a tree. As you've probably seen from my other videos, I love acacias, especially the shoestring acacias. And so I decided to plant one on this berm here to give a little bit of dappled shade, and my hope is in the spring I can scatter squash seeds and other seeds and be able to grow them directly from seed, which is a little difficult here in Atascadero where it's very, very hot in the summertime and seedlings usually get fried. So in the coming years there'll be this nice natural shade cloth to protect them. I wanted to share today my method for planting a tree and also hear your ideas and things that work well and don't work well. I take some time to observe, to find the right spot, and then I set to work. At this point, I've planted so many trees and plants in the backyard that I've realized it really isn't about just putting something in the ground, but more about planting something in my heart. And I've realized too that in those moments when I get super focused on the goal, I tend to miss these beautiful moments. For example, when the clouds parted and this golden light came through for just a moment and then that was gone. And more I'm seeing that by slowing down and tuning into these moments, I'm experiencing a lot more joy in life. One thing I'm getting better at, but still could improve on, is making sure to really move the mulch far away from the hole so that pieces don't fall in and rob nitrogen. So sometimes I usually get a rake, but today I just felt like getting down on the dirt and using my hands to make sure I had plenty of room to dig. A couple weeks ago, I had some compost delivered to create the water battery. So the soil on top is this really rich compost, which I'm going to mix in with the native soil, but I'm using mostly sandy soil, which the acacia is going to really like. One thing I've been really enjoying about making these videos is the ability to watch my form, so to speak, as I'm working in the garden, and realizing how important it is to tune in and slow down when I'm working and focus on how I'm using my body and leveraging my tools, leveraging gravity, and leveraging using my legs rather than my back to ensure that my time spent in the garden is nourishing. Because ultimately, the purpose of this forest was to heal myself. And that isn't just the food, but also the way that I'm using my body to create the food. Elvis is always curious about what new thing is being planted at Goldifarms, and I think is also impressed with my ability to dig holes. Generally speaking, I follow the rule of digging the hole about twice as wide as the root ball of the tree and just a few inches taller than the root ball of the tree. I also have started scoring the sides of the hole with my shovel because I find that the shovel tends to create a difficult barrier for those roots to pass. It kind of compacts the soil. And so by scoring it, I'm trying to create some surface area to aid the tree's roots in penetrating the slightly more compacted soil around the root ball. I then like to always use a gopher basket, and there's lots of gophers here. I don't want to poison them. I've had pretty good success with gopher baskets, even though they are kind of a pain. Next, I like to mix up the soil, and this soil I'm not going to amend with much compost because this acacia really likes this well-draining soil. I personally really like to help massage the root ball a little bit to just give this plant a little more of an advantage to help these roots spread out and grow. This tree isn't very root bound. It's usually in the bottom of the pot that I see it the most, but some pots you'll pull them out and the tree will be completely root bound, and those are really important to make sure to loosen that up so that the plant doesn't end up basically choking itself, which is something that can happen. This takes a few minutes, but I think it's really good to take off my gloves and actually touch the soil and touch the roots of a plant. I think can be really grounding. Next, I'm going to measure the tree and make sure it's at the right level. Right now, it's a little bit too low. I definitely don't want the root ball sitting well below the soil level. And so I just add a little more dirt to get that root ball flush with the top of the soil. Also, it's at this stage where it's important to think about how you want your tree positioned and which branches you want pointing where. And if it's important to you that your tree is planted straight, now is the time to step back and make sure you like exactly how it's situated. Next, I like to make a little moat around the tree, which can be a little tricky with these gopher baskets, but I find this part kind of fun. It reminds me of playing in the sand when I was a kid. So here I'm digging a berm, which is this hill, and the lower part inside is called the swale. And so the swale will hold the water and the berm will keep the water from going down the hill away from my tree. So this is a way to ensure that water is getting down into the roots, but also that the tree isn't too deep that it's going to be sitting in that water. So the water is getting in and draining through. This exposed soil, I'll later scatter some cover crop that will sprout in the rain and protect this soil. Next, I water the tree. Normally I'd give the tree a lot more water, but it's going to be raining all week and I prefer rainwater to city water, so I'm going to give it just enough to hold it over and show you how this berm and swale work. Look how well it's draining. So there you have it. There's the acacia, which will one day provide a beautiful home for birds and help enclose this garden and make it feel a little more private and like a secret food forest. Those are just some of my thoughts on planting a tree. I'd love to hear any tips that you have, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday. Take care.